What's up, everybody? This is D from Brooklyn, and I'm going to talk to you about a new series that I'm starting. It's going to be a multi part series all about controls. Yes, controls and how we use them. So stay tuned.
From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh ha ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh ha ha!
Enough with the shark bait.
Sharkbait! Ooh, but.
Let's talk about the term controls. Now, when we talk about controls and controlling our fish tanks, most of us relate this to lights, pumps, and all different types of circulation. But for many of us, controls go into a much deeper concept. Now, this is usually the part where freshwater hobbyists usually change the channel and they say, oh, it's really complex and I don't really need a controller or a setup of controls to control my fish tank. But not knowing you already do this. And usually that is by using timers to cut on and off your lights. Now, controllers can not only control whether your lights cut on and off, but they can also dictate whether based on a certain number of events, such as heat or even time of day, whether or not your lights cut on. For example, if the temperature is over 80 degrees, I can program my tank control system to turn on a fan, turn off the white lights and only run blue lights, or even change to a different photo period that runs the tank. So yes, freshwater tank people, this topic does apply to you. Now there are many different types of controllers by many different manufacturers. You even have smart systems, smart outlets, and can truly control many aspects of your system based on a certain number of instructions. Now, just to talk about credibility, I will just disclose that I have been in the hobby for over 20 plus years, keeping freshwater, nano, live bearer, reef tanks, fish only tanks, egg layers, and all sorts of tanks in which I have learned, made mistakes, and figured out better ways to do certain things. So when I talk about controllers, I'm not going to focus on any one company or say that any way is better than the other for maintaining aquariums, because the fact of the matter is everybody has their own way of maintaining their own aquarium based on A, how much money they have available, which is usually one of the driving factors, B, how much of a system they have to maintain and whether it's worth spending all the additional effort in setting up a system, or C, whether they have the space or even if they decide that they have the need to even worry about controlling a tank at all. Hey, turn on little tank lights.
Okay, turning the little tank lights on.
Now, what I just expressed right now is just, let's say you have people come over and you just want to show off your tank, or if you're a blogger or a YouTuber and you want to turn on multiple tanks at once, you can set this up with smart controls. Now, smart controls use a outlet to control your tanks instead of probes. Controllers use probes to control the tanks as well as controls built into the power strip to control what devices you have cut on and off. Now, the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is technology is changing at a very high rate. And a lot of the techniques that we used in the old days, such as bulky timers and extension cords, are becoming more and more obsolete. So, my freshwater hobbyists, by using smart controllers, you can set all of your tanks up to cut on and off based on time of day, a set of instructions, or conditions such as heat and temperature. Hey, turn off little tank lights.
Got it. Turning off the little tank lights.
Now, once again, this is going to be targeted at my freshwater and saltwater people. So now let's say you have a timer set up. You have a RO unit. If you're not familiar, this is a 5-stage reverse osmosis and deionized water filtration unit, which filters water, and based on conditions, it will fill your tanks up or fill up a reservoir. Now, what if you had a controller to control this by the time of day? So, after hours, this timer will cut on a power head, which will push water to a reservoir, and if the water level is low, it will fill up that water reservoir with water and then turn off when the water reaches its maximum height. Now, the reason I mention the time of day is, as you can hear, I have my wastewater going into a sink, which creates a little bit of noise, or I can use my wastewater to water the lawn in the evening, water a vegetable garden, or wherever I want to run my wastewater to run. I can set it with timers or controller to control if and when this is done and how long it does it. So example, let's say you have a situation where maybe it runs on too long or you don't want it to fill. You can set the timer for a maximum of 10 minutes to a half an hour to even 1 minute or even less, so that you can control how much water runs through the unit and when and if it cuts on or off. Let's talk about heaters. Let's say your heat reaches 80 degrees in the tank and it is still going on. You can set a controller to, based on the temperature in the tank, to cut that heater off, just in case your heater is broken, gets stuck in the on position, or your heater is not functioning and your tank temperature is dropping. You can set up multiple heaters, so if one heater is not working, the other outlet will turn on and maintain your tank's temperature. Now let's talk about probes. This, for instance, is a pH probe. Based on the pH in your water, reef tank or planted tank, you can control a set of instructions. Not only can you control the tank, but you can most often get an alert or see on a digital readout what your pH is. This is a freshwater tank. Let's say I intend on breeding a fish that actually does better in a low pH setting. I can use a pH probe hooked up to a controller or to a pH reader to tell me what the pH is as I change the water and control what level it is stabilized at. So now here's one of those situations where you're running a CO2 canister. This is a nano-sized CO2 canister. And if you're not watching it, it's very possible for your pH to get very low and actually starve the fish in the tank of oxygen. So this is a situation where people running fish rooms, planted tanks, or anything with CO2 would want something that controls the CO2 going into the tank. So if the pH or any situation that affects the pH gets too low, it can turn off the supply going to the tank, and it could most definitely save your fish and livestock. Now we've talked about light, pH, and heat. Let's talk about flow. It is really easy to set up multiple timers or controls to turn off and on multiple pumps inside a tank. Now this will replicate tidal flow in a reef tank or a planted tank and will greatly benefit your fish and invertebrates. So that is a brief overview on control. Not controllers, but control, and how to use them for multiple tanks, multiple species, and ways that you may think that you may actually be able to benefit from using a controller. Now the next session is going to be based on types of controllers and how do you choose one. So I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos such as this one, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate your support. This is D, signing out.